off the puck. But if you've got a little time, then come and spend it with us. Just now you're listening to the Rough Cut.
Hello, and welcome down to another episode of the Rough Cut Golf Podcast, where you join us basking in the warm afterglow of the US Open, the third major of the year, and probably the most incredible putt to win by JJ Spawn, which I think actually enlivened what was a rather dull affair. But we'll get into that a little bit more. I just want to say a massive thank you for tuning in and for listening and for watching. If you are on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you are listening on your favorite podcast provider, then please give us a 5-star rating, because what other rating could you possibly even think of? I'm joined today by Jacob, who is on the couch to the right of me, who did not predict the winner of the US Open this year. If you went out and stuck all your money on Harris English, then that is on you, not on us.
Yeah, I can't take any claim for that, I'm afraid.
No, I did think for a moment when Ben Griffin started to kind of come up.
I know. I was starting to worry then. I should have gone the other way with it. I will say that was the most succinct intro you've done in a very long time.
Thank you. It's the jet lag.
Yeah, well, I didn't think that would be the case, given the fact that we are off the back of a flight yesterday.
Yeah, we're actually in the United States of America, in Connecticut. We are doing some filming.
As the locals say, yeah.
That's literally not how anyone says it.
Yeah,
I don't know why this is a thing now. We're doing some film with Tyler over here, with players, with content creators, and we've just had our first day, but we did only land into New York last evening, and then we battled out of the traffic, and now we're here.
Yeah, just like that. No, that's all wrong. We just came over just to celebrate the US Open. That's just how committed we are.
Like in an adjacent state.
Yeah. We just wanted to be in the country just to witness how they kind of, celebrate their national open.
And we did that by
on the side of the road,
watching the US Open on the side of the road, and then having a slightly suspicious subway.
Yes,
which it didn't completely agree with me last evening, I must admit.
Well, not to be too crude on the podcast, but I went to the toilet quite quickly after eating that Subway,
yeah.
So...
Yeah, Sam's also sat in the room, he's minding over us, and he just made a disgusted face, because quite frankly, Jacob, you're bringing the tone of the show down.
Sorry, I know this is not the type of thing that we spoke about on here, but, I just want to give it
some
colour.
People would say we do talk quite a lot of it, anyway.
We do talk a lot.
Moving on to...
Good.
Moving on to the US Open. Let's dive in. So, US Open was at Oakmont, a much changed Oakmont. It's just gone through a big redesign. They've taken out pretty much every single tree to return it back to its original features, which also has a wonderful motorway and train track running right through the middle of it. And
as all good golf courses do.
Yes, all good golf courses do. It divided opinion a little bit. So, before we get on to the main talking points as far as the players go, if we cover out what the course was like, for me, the first 2 days, even going into the back nine on Saturday, I kind of felt that the atmosphere and the whole US Open was just a bit slow. A little bit of not a letdown, but it certainly didn't have the excitement of the other majors. Now, the US Open is synonymous with being the most difficult test in golf. You're going to see players struggle. That's kind of like the point. You're going to see them tested to the max. But I don't think at Oakmont they were actually tested to the max. So my main issue is with the redesign of Oakmont, big wide fairways. For the most part, they're not the widest.
Couple of holes, but
they're not the widest in golf by any means, but they are relatively wide.
Yep.
You have a very small cut of semi, and then you've got big, thick, rough where, for the most part, you could advance it sometimes towards the green, but a lot of times you were just hacking out with a wedge.
Yep.
You get up to the greens, again, quite large putting surfaces for the most part, and then just off, you had very deep bunkers and, again, incredibly thick rough. So my issue with the US Open this year was there wasn't much nuance about it. So my favourite courses, when I think about US Open and a super tough test, let's say Pinehurst, where if you miss a green there, you have these big, huge runoff areas, these big swales that make you play different short game shots. If you miss a green at Pinehurst, you can hit flop shots, you can hit running shots, you can hit all kind of different spins, which require lots of different skills. Where at Oakmont, it was kind of like you just open the blade and you just try and hack it out.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I think comparing it to last year is an interesting one because what US Open golf should do is test you in all facets of the game, and it did that at both Pinehurst and Oakmont. But the problem with it is that with Pinehurst, you obviously had to hit really good approach shots, and you were rewarded for that if you hit good ones.
Yeah.
But then if you didn't, you were then tested in the short game, and you could hit a good short game shot to recover and make a par or bogey, or because bogeys in US Open golf are fine. But with Oakmont, if you obviously hit a bad approach shot, you were left with basically just the lap of the gods in terms of what your lie was, how the ball came out. We spoke to Aaron and Justin today. Aaron Ryan, Justin Thomas, obviously.
First name basis,
obviously.
Best friends.
And they kind of were speaking about, especially Aaron was sort of, pretty much every shot was a 60, open it up, hit down on it, and if it comes out well, it comes out well. And it sort of maybe lost the skill and the quality of these players in the fact that they weren't even really tested to do anything apart from just crossing your fingers and hoping the ball comes out in the way it needs to.
It's a tricky one because like comparing Pinehurst to Oakmont it's not fair because they're not the same golf course by any means. And it's the same with somewhere like if you compare Wingfoot to Shinnecock. Different courses. And I think it's almost unfair to expect Oakmont to play like Pinehurst. I think everyone can accept that. But if I was to watch US Open, I think I'd prefer it at Pinehurst rather than an
Yeah,
Oakmont.
I think more my point is the sense of like, what do you want US Open golf courses to stand for? What do you want them to do and what they provide? And I think it's just more in a case of I'm personally saying that I think Pinehurst is a better US Open venue than what Oakmont is. And then, because that kind of goes against the narrative, I guess, of what the USPGA have with Oakmont in it being, where it's hosted it the most and having these 10 tournaments they've had there. And it's, they really want it to be the pedigree of the hardest test in golf.
Yeah.
When actually, going off watching it last year, and again, it's all personal opinion, it's all what you kind of perceive what it should be. But for me, I think Pinehurst was a better example of a golf course for the US Open because it actually tested all different facets of the game, but it provided opportunity for the players to showcase that. And it wasn't, again, what Bryson finished, 4, 5 under? So it wasn't, we didn't have this, no one's running away with it, and this test was, especially at Oakmont, you kind of mentioned it was quite stale, I think, for a lot of people, and it was only really till that sort of back nine where people were just holding on and making pars was the interesting part.
It was pretty stale until it got moist.
Yeah.
When the rain started to absolutely smash it down. There were a few issues with standing water. Kind of think Sam Burns, for example, didn't get a drop when maybe he should have, and it kind of messed his challenge up for the US Open, but it did come alive, and it certainly became wildly entertaining going into that back nine when if you did hit it in the rough, you were kind of like guaranteed almost to drop a shot. So it started to feel like it made more sense. But I think the weather coming in and it being wet really did help slow certainly the greens up and slow some of the more difficult shots up. But having said all this, JJ Spawn holds a 50-footer on the last to win. I don't know the history of this, but I'm pretty sure in saying it's the longest putt to win a major ever.
I would have thought so.
He had 2 putts for it. He only needed the one, and the scenes when he did hold it were absolutely amazing. It was probably out of everyone on that leaderboard who wasn't a recognised major winner, for example, or was from that group of golfers who were looking to break through, he was the one who I wanted to win.
Yeah.
Just because of the way he started, he got off to a rough start, and he got so unlucky on the second when he's hit a fantastic shot into the hole. It's pitched once, it's smacked into the flag, and it's come all the way off the front of the green. And he started, I think was it 6.5s or 5.5s he started with?
Yeah, 5.5s.
And he turned in 40.
Yeah.
So he shot 40 on the front nine of a US Open in the final round, and then came back in 32 shots to shoot a 72 and win. And for me, those shots that he hit on the 17th, the tee shot, almost hold it on a par 4. Incredible shot, 2-putted for a birdie, and then played that 18th hole wonderfully well. Just that driver down the middle, under that pressure. Almost missed the biggest green in golf, admittedly, with his second. but then hold that fantastic putt. So I think for me, overall, obviously wanted Bobby Mack to come through, really wanted him to win. Would have loved to see Victor come through, would have loved to see Adam Scott hold on. There were so many storylines up there. Even Tyrrell Hatton, who had a really rough 17th, like he could have been up there.
Yep.
You know, all these players could have been great champions, but I think overall, yeah, JJ, I was happy, deserved it.
Yeah, I think, and you know, across the whole season, he's obviously played some really good golf. We saw him in the playoff against Rory in the Players. It's not like he's just come out and put on 4 days of golf out of nowhere. You know, this is something that he's been doing all year, and his ball striking has been probably, if not top 3, top 4, top 5 in the world, really, in how he's gone about his work. It's always like an emotional final day as well, because it always lines up with Father's Day, and there's always like that narrative with it as well. And obviously there was like pictures of him like signing the car with his kids, like 2 daughters on his lap and things like that, which I mean to you is just ruining it for him. But what was the?
Let's keep it professional. Yeah.
Sam, what was the thing that you saw where it was like no one, not even majors, PGA Tours, like no one shot 40? Is that right on the front nine?
No one had ever shot 40 on the front nine and won a major.
Yeah, won a tournament. No one had ever shot 40. Yeah. But again, there was no other probably tournament that would be possible.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's a US Open. Like, this isn't a course where, and this isn't an event when if you shot a 40 on the front nine, you were like, oh, don't worry, there's chances coming in.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
Yeah.
So that just shows like how much he was able to knuckle down. Maybe the rain delay helped. Maybe he was able to refocus and come back. But yeah, it's just incredible. I mean, with that, he's up to 7th in the world. He's pretty much guaranteed a Ryder Cup spot, I think, now.
I feel like that's pretty much cemented it.
At Bethpage. And, you know, his life from a few years ago where he was legitimately thinking about quitting golf because he wasn't able to perform at kind of how he wanted to. He has won on tour before at the Valero, Texas, I believe.
Yes.
But never really kicked on. I think there were quite high hopes and it just didn't happen and he wasn't playing well. I think he got ill a little bit as well, like just like with flu and viruses, and just wasn't able to play the golf he wanted to and was legitimately thinking about packing it in. And now look at him.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And he won 4.3 million. He won.
Oh, wow.
So there you go, kids. Stick at it.
Stay out of school and practice.
Because golf pays.
Yeah.
Other people are going to mention, so Rob McIntyre, 69-68 at the weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, again, a US Open, you shoot those scores, chances are you're going to win.
Started 7 back, wasn't it? I think going into the final day.
Yeah. So he's like, just about made the cut and then kind of put the
Yeah. Just like you did at Royal Dornoch, yeah?
It was actually Ingram.
Oh, sorry, Ingerborn. I do apologise.
Yeah.
There's been a lot going on.
Yeah, when those videos out, those a few weeks.
Yeah.
We again, this if you are a watcher of the main channel, thank you very much. I played the PGA Championships last week, which is a comp I made the qualification for, made the cut for the first time, which is brilliant, and then had a really good finish as well. So those videos will be coming out in a couple of weeks. Well worth it. I did hear a lot of people were preferring to watch that.
I did also think that as well. I much prefer just refreshing my leaderboard than watching the US Open.
Apparently my mum was getting quite nervous.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Aww.
She said the other day I went to see her. Scotty Scheffler kind of had a little bit of a chance. Number 1 in the world, seems incapable of not finishing in the top 10, really. He's just like at such a high level. And he had a bad week.
He did, yeah.
For Scheffler,
finished top 10.
Yeah, he had a bad week.
Yeah, a couple of 70s, wasn't it, over the weekend, so he just sort of stayed where he was, really. But again, it was typical kind of story, really. I think he sort of tee to green played really well, but if he'd maybe hold a few putts and things had slightly gone his way, or even say in those first couple of days where I think that first day was a big one, really, because that was as easy as it was going to get. And you kind of saw that with the scoring and, you know, JJ Spawn shooting 4 under on the first day.
Yeah.
If players didn't really capitalise in on those kind of conditions, it was hard for you to sort of come back through that. Like we saw on the final day, I think, maybe 5 or 6 players only really shot under par.
I just want to say a big shout out to my major team.
Oh, yeah, again.
My major picks, everyone made the cut. Rahm, Rory, both shot on the par on that last day.
Yeah.
What a team.
Yeah, Russell Henley finally did something for me.
Hey, we saw Russell today as well. I'm surprised he didn't actually go over and say hello.
I don't want to put any pressure on. I don't want to put any pressure on him. I need him to perform in the Open, and he doesn't need that, you know. This
You
is
need that.
I do. Well, I need it. Yeah,
I would like Rory to perform. I mean, what is?
I would like Rory to perform.
I think everyone's kind of like scratching their heads a little bit now about what is happening with Rory, because there's something obviously not right. I think probably maybe behind the scenes things might be going on that we don't know about, because he seems to say something different every time he does talk to the media. And obviously he went through that phase of not talking to anybody. And like some of the things he's saying, it's just a bit, it doesn't feel like Rory. Now, I know he's obviously had an incredibly emotional year. And as he said in his last interview, he's scaled his Everest. And the come down from that is proving to be more difficult than maybe expected.
Yeah.
So he's looking for new mountains to climb. And he did kind of point out.
Well, there isn't any more higher than Everest, so he's going to have to make one.
Hey, listen, Everest is getting higher every year by a few inches.
That's true.
So, you know, once you climb back down, you've got to go back up again.
That's true.
And I think he did point out Portrush, you know, an Open in Northern Ireland could be that thing that really kind of stimulates him to get his head back in the game.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it is a little bit of a worry, I think, for someone who's been so consistent for so long to then win the major that we all thought would free him, would release him a little bit to play the kind of golf, and not to play the kind of golf that he can do, because I think he has been doing that for the last 10 years, but to play that golf and get over the line more often. And it's almost had the opposite effect, which is quite strange. But it just shows what a crazy game golf is, I think.
Yeah, and I think it is obviously, I can only imagine sort of recalibrating yourself to sort of like give yourself that goal, that drive, that desire to do something in the game of golf when you've done the thing that everyone wants to do. You know, he's obviously got major numbers that he can, you know, to get ahead, be the most decorated European golfer in terms of majors. You know, there's definitely stuff that he can thrive for.
He has qualified for the Ryder Cup as well.
Has he? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was
just in case we were.
I was worried.
Being there.
I was worried. Yeah, that is true.
Well done, Rory.
I think that Scotty is the US confirmed, and Rory is confirmed for Europe, which is breaking news. I didn't realize.
Crazy.
Yeah, I didn't think they'd make it.
Like people are literally like pulling over their cars.
Yeah,
getting up off the toilet.
I do think just as we bring the Ryder Cup up though, I do think that like this week was really an interesting slight dress rehearsal for a few players. I feel, because obviously you're going to Bethpage. It's a US Open venue. Like I think there's a few European and American sides that like. I would even, it's not to say that it's going to guarantee you a spot or like but it would definitely get your name in the picture just a little bit.
I might be wrong about this, and I do hope that I am, but I don't think Bethpage is going to.
They're going to set it up like that. No. Okay. Fair enough.
If the last few years are anything to go by, well, the last maybe 10 years, I suppose, what will happen is in the US, the course will be set up long and the rough will be chopped back. And when you get to Europe, the course is going to be shorter and the rough is going to be thicker. And it just seems to be falling into that pattern now.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is a bit of a shame, because like Bethpage is notoriously difficult because of the elevation changes, because of the way that the course is designed, yes. But it does have that punishing element of the rough. But I just don't think they're going to do it this year. But we'll see. We'll see. And like you said, it was interesting to see a few players... both on the European side and on the US side. I kind of feel that probably Bobby Mack has kind of secured his spot, really.
Yeah.
With that, I think Hovland obviously has not had a great year apart from the win, which is a strange thing to say.
Yeah, he does need a strong couple of months, really, because it's creeping up, isn't it? It's coming quick, so he definitely needs to fall through. I think the actual, like I was looking in the current like standings, I would for me, my team would literally be the top 11. And then I can't remember who sat at 12, but that's the one that I maybe would change. But it is kind of settling down now into kind of who you would expect to sort of be in the team. But I mean, I'm just like, you know, thinking of people like Neergaard Peterson and people like that, who's obviously not a household name so much to speak yet, but that I know that kind of at the Team Cup thing they played out in Dubai, he was sort of really highly spoke of, and he had a really strong week here. But as you say, if the course is kind of probably not going to be set up in the same way as sort of the US Open test that you would expect at Bethpage, maybe that doesn't quite sort of play through as how they would expect. But because even like someone like Thomas Dietrich, he's been sort of touted to be a Ryder Cup player this year. Sort of had a really good solid start to the year. Won for the first time on the PGA Tour, and then sort of really dampened down and been quite quiet through the middle part of the season. So it was nice to see him sort of come through again, and hopefully then he can find some form going through. But
I think kind of both teams are going to have a lot of players to pick from.
Yeah,
I'm not sure Wyndham Clark's going to make it.
No. Well, I don't know if Bethpage need to. If they kind of like, I don't know, maybe they could like put a sort of metal casing around his locker. Or something just to like defend it a bit.
Maybe like turn it into what are those like soft plays?
Yeah,
that
like a ball pit that you could just get changed in.
Like just make every surface padded.
Yeah,
and that should be okay.
Or those, where like those rooms that you can go pay to go and smash stuff up.
Yeah,
maybe they just need to create that so that he's actually allowed to do it and not wreck a historic old golf clubhouse. Maybe that might be the best thing to do.
I've got to be honest. I mean, this actually sounds like an amazing locker room right now.
Like a panic room in a clubhouse.
Yeah,
that feels like a good idea.
So you got that's incredible. Okay, well maybe you should make it then.
Yeah,
it's going to cause a little bit of a redesign.
Yeah, I'm sure they can work around it.
If you're not sure what we're talking about, I think it was I'm not sure who shared the original picture, but it's been widely reported that Wyndham Clark, after having a bit of a stinker, has gone into the clubhouse and kicked the absolute crap out of a couple of lockers, which it did. I've got to be honest, it kind of split opinion very quickly. I think one of the problems was that Wyndham a few weeks ago also destroyed like his driver and a sign on the golf course as well, and almost hit like a marshal with a club, which was accidentally, came out straight away afterwards, just apologised. But then this kind of comes on the back of it. And a lot of people, saying, this shouldn't happen, it's unacceptable, blah, blah, blah. And then you have people like Graham McDowell coming out and say, this is nothing compared to what I've seen.
Yeah.
And I've got to be honest, I can understand it. We talk about professional golf at the highest level, and sport at the highest level does bring these kind of things out in people.
Yeah.
And also the US Open,
that environment,
so frustrating and so anger-inducing. I can understand how it would happen. Personally, I think it's kind of stupid. I think it's gone way too far. Like, if it gets to that point where you're physically assaulting lockers, that's not to do with the golf. Like, that's just you having a particularly crap time within yourself. So, that's a bit of a pity. And I'm not sure where he is in the rankings, but he's not had a great year. So
No, he hasn't. And again, he's like, it's a weird one, really, isn't it? Because I think even after his US Open win, I think he's someone who sort of maybe struggled to maintain that kind of continual of form and the power that he's had in the game of golf. But he would have been a good one for Bethpage. Obviously, he's long off the tee. His irons in that US Open win were amazing. So hopefully he can sort of temper both expectations and his temper.
He's gone, mate. He's done for the year. Phil Mickelson.
Yeah, is that a little goodbye on US Opens now?
I think he didn't mention it, that this was probably going to be his last one, but it felt like that was in passing. It felt as though it wasn't quite the end. I think he'll be back for another one. It felt like if he's going to retire from the US Open, if he's going to say, this is my last one, it felt like it would be a bit more of an announcement.
Yeah, but I guess it's a case of like, this was the last one he can get into without any qualification process.
Right, okay.
So obviously, and that's where it becomes kind of understandable to me, the fact of why he wouldn't sign off on it. Because why would he stop if he still thinks that he can play at a high level? Why would he stop trying to qualify to do the Grand Slam?
Yeah.
Like, I understand that he wouldn't sign off on it, but obviously now it's just that he needs to go that step further to get into it.
I mean, I don't think anyone's under any illusions. For him to win the Grand Slam at this point, that would be like one of the greatest stories ever.
Oh, for sure.
If he managed to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's likely to do it. And I think he probably knows that. And why would he put himself through the torch for the US Open?
Exactly. And I mean, he even elongated his time in the US Open anyway with that win at Kiowa. He was gonna lose his US Open spot that year if he hadn't won to continue that for 5 years. So
Elongate the hitting zone.
Elongate that hitting zone, yeah, exactly. I mean, talking about someone hitting it long, Bryson, where was he?
Yeah, it was a bit of a... There's a few... I mean, Bryson, I think we were all expecting him to perform a lot better. We all kind of thought a bit of a bomb and gouge approach may be the way to go. Obviously, it didn't work out. You can't make the cut and you can't win every major, but I think we were expecting this to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
And also from the live side of things, you had Tyrrell, you had Carlos Ortiz as well, kind of challenging for that title. Joaquin Niemann, I don't understand what's going on.
I don't know what is he? Why can he not do it in...
Like, you can say what you want about reduced fields in live. You can say about, not having a cut makes it less competitive. There are genuine arguments for that. But to win so consistently on a tour, any tour, is incredibly difficult. And there are some really good players there. So how could he not transfer that into majors?
Yeah.
It seems so weird.
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it?
And I don't know if that's just like becoming a thing in his own head now.
Yeah, and I think I kind of had a slight worry with him just going into majors anyway before the PGA Championship. But then he had his best ever finish. He had a top 10. You kind of felt that he kind of got over that sort of major hurdle in terms of just proving himself to himself that he can play in that environment and he can still perform at the highest level and take what we believe is strong live form into the majors. But something isn't quite translating over, and he's got the game of someone who should be competing and challenging to win majors. He's awesome off the tee. He's got great irons. He's got a really good short game. Yet something just doesn't quite sort of come through into playing 4 rounds of golf. I don't know what the.
He's won on PGA Tour before. Like,
of course, yeah, he's won at Riv. I mean, he's a really good player.
Yeah. I don't like the whole 54-72 hole argument. is kind of boring now. I don't. It's a load of crap. Everyone kind of knows that. But yeah, I don't know. It's a strange one. But hey ho. Yeah.
Hey ho, yeah.
Hey ho. Not everyone can win it. Congratulations, JJ Spawn. I think we are gonna. Oh yeah, Whoop says
Time to wind down.
Yeah, I've got 19 minutes to get to bed. No. Half an hour. I got half an hour to get to bed.
Yeah. That's all right. It's plenty of time.
Which is tough. Yeah, Whoop is now controlling my life again.
Back on the Whoop train.
If I plug Whoop into ChatGPT, I'm going to be the first Android.
Okay.
Can't wait.
Yeah, nice.
It's going to be great. I'm sick of making my own decisions.
So when I put the batteries on charge for the cameras, do I have to put you on charge as well? Is that how it works?
I charge via liquid. I'm a fuel charged being.
You're not hybrid yet. You're still on the gasoline.
No, we're done. Cool. Right. Well, if we cut away, because you guys are going to chat about Springfield Golf and your amateur golf exploits.
Yeah.
To go from the US Open to the Shire is going to be quite a swerve.
The US Open to the Players Club.
Oh, the Players Club was
yes,
it? Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
We had a really interesting amateur golf event that we played in a few weeks ago, and I believe I very, very seamlessly throw it to past Jacob. So I think I'm going to do that now, which probably makes it easy. So past Jacob, take it away.
And thank you very much, Jacob, from about 4 days from now. That was such a seamless little segue into us having a bit of a chat about something we did a couple of weeks ago now.
Yeah, it has been a while since.
Yeah, we played, not Pete, played in I want to say professional, but it wasn't. It was an amateur event, but it felt professional, I think is the point. We played in the Springfield Golf Event 5, I think it was, 4 or 5?
4, yeah. 4, correct.
At the Players Club just outside of Bristol. And we're going to have a little chat about our experience because, well, from a personal standpoint, I thought it was wonderful.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, really good, really good.
Now, it's down south.
It is down south. We spend more time up north.
We do. How close is it to actual home for you two?
For me, would have been, well, it was like an hour and a half drive in the morning. So, yeah, not too bad. Yeah.
It was about the same. I think it was about the same for us.
And talk to me a little bit about the day before. We went and played a nice leisurely round of golf with Jacob's parents at Berg Hill Valley in Hereford, where Ellie Goulding is from. Not from the golf course, from Hereford. And also the guy who hosts the trivia podcast that we listen to.
He's from Hereford.
Takeaway Trivia.
Leon.
He's from Hereford. Is that his name?
Yeah, Leon. Yeah.
Well done. And also the guy who did Kermit.
Frank Oz. There you go.
What a place.
What a
place. We went and played golf at Berg Hill Valley, and then we went out for burgers, and we were in bed by 10, 11.
Yeah, probably.
Yours wasn't so civilized the day before.
I had a wedding. I had a wedding the day before. Yeah. It was an interesting one. I mean, but to be fair, I stayed pretty on top of myself. Pretty, I only had like 7, 8 drinks. So it's not too bad.
Good Lord.
Not
Held
too
it
bad.
together.
I'd be on the
Not too bad.
ground with 7 and 8 drinks.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
I think it's important to kind of sort of lay or set the scene of kind of what this is about, because we went and played in this event. It was a 2-day event across 2 days, and it was at the Players Club, which we played the Stranahan course on the first day and we played the Codrington on the second day.
Correct.
It was a amateur event, so you could play off a handicap, which was certainly something of discussion leading into playing. Certainly in a sense of putting in some cards to get less shots, or in some cases more shots.
Yep.
It was played off 85% handicaps, and it was just one of those kind of like, this is not an experience that you will ever really be able to kind of get playing at a level above a professional golfer. The whole experience of even going to bed
I know what you mean. Yeah.
on a off a round of like, I've done this day, can I come back the next day and do it again, was certainly something that you just don't experience as an amateur golfer ever, really.
Yeah.
Which was just one of the really, really cool things about this weekend. As you say, we went and played Berg Hill Valley the day before, had a little bit of a test and grind and see where our games are at, and say Kieran was at a wedding, so not mixed approaches to the experience, but we all arrived on the first day, and like I say, we're playing the Stranahan course, which was a par 66, I believe.
God,
60,
it was
something like that.
60.
I think it was 68, wasn't it?
68, par 68.
Yeah, I'll look it up while you keep going.
Something in the 5,600 yards range, and we were the first boys off.
Yeah.
We was the first tee time, which I have to say, I don't think I've ever experienced nerves like that on a first tee in my life.
Yeah, talk me through it, because 68, 5,457 yards off the backs.
Okay.
And we weren't playing. We were playing off the backs.
Yeah.
At the Stranahan.
And
yes.
we played as a 3 as well.
We did.
We
yes.
played together.
Reason being that David Barwise, the backbone of our team, weirdly enough, his backbone doesn't work. So David was unfortunately forced to pull out, which meant that we went out as a 3-ball. Fine by us. We were going to try and film little bits of it anyway, so it made that bit a little less pressured, and you didn't have to do that in front of someone who obviously would have been playing on their own in respect to what group they were playing in. We played without David. On the first tee, we went and scoped out the first tee first to work out what the tee shot was, so that we could hit that shot on the range in a very professional way. Didn't help that much. Lot of wind, a lot of people stood around. The clips will be in the vlog, which is coming out very similar time to this.
Did you guys get sent pictures as well of your first tee shot?
Oh, I don't think I did.
Didn't you?
No.
Okay, interesting.
Where did you
they
get
sent it to me on WhatsApp.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the guy sent it to me, so I don't know. Maybe I'll have to show you, but they must have them.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'll put them up.
Yeah, we'll put them up here. The first tee shot, Kieran, you went first.
I did, yeah. I thought,
Which fair play.
Yeah, because neither of us wanted to do it.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I actually, there was about 70, 80 people there, and obviously, like, I was nervous, but we had a shot of like a, what was it, like a rum,
Pineapple
honey
rum.
rum. But I was feeling pretty good, and the bit that got me, if the music wasn't on, I was going to feel all right. But the music came on, and it was the Luke Littler.
Give me the green light.
Yeah, give me the green light.
I didn't even clock that it was Luke
So
Littler.
I literally
just
that spun me straight away. And then so I teed the ball up like a driver, and this is like a 110 yard par 3, down slightly downhill and an island green. So it was, it's a really, really tough hole. The ground, it was a time where sort of we had a bit of drought, and it was like, it was very, very hard. So it would have been very hard to stop the ball. So I thought, tee it up high and just get it in the air. I teed it up way too high. But the bit that got me was the fact that as the beat was going on, I wasn't even thinking about the shot. I was thinking about, right, I want to get this on the beat of the shot. That was all I was thinking about throughout the whole thing.
It's the worst thing to consider.
And I missed the beat, and I was like, right, I've got to speed up for the next beat. And then I lost the tempo, and I finned it and went into the back of the water. So, it was an interesting start. But I felt okay. I actually felt really, was hitting all right in the range, and then I just my head was gone after that.
I think hitting like a really bladed club off the first, in general is very tricky because the margin for error is maybe not as high as something like a driver. You always say, I want the biggest face possible.
Yes, please.
Couldn't have hit driver on there. It would have been a very weird tee shot. But I think the additional factor of there being a load of people stood there, and the music, and the kind of expectation and the build up that we had put on ourselves,
absolutely
made it even more difficult to first of all select the right club, second of all see the shot before you stood up there. And then I kind of was stood over the ball, and I just thought to myself, I just watched you thin yours through the back. Then you went. How did yours go?
I actually struck mine great. I almost struck it much better than I expected to.
Yeah.
But I was, because the wind was straight off the left and hitting it towards the water, it looked like if you landed it right, it was going to kick right.
Yeah.
So I was really set on like, just miss this, or just hit it left.
Yeah.
And I just pulled the arse off it.
Yeah.
And just pulled it left. And fortunately, I was actually quite lucky, really, because it sort of stayed up before dropping down from the sleepers onto the par from the water behind, like your two guys had. So mine was like actually okay for a first tee. I was kind of happy with it because it was safe and it was dry.
Yeah. And then you got up and down. So
I missed it. Unfortunately,
Oh, right.
Almost. It was a little bit of a lip out.
Yeah. So like you said, mine. I did a combination of both of yours because I pulled mine left and hit it too far. So it wasn't a good showing. On the only shot that everyone was there to watch. So I imagine everyone's impression of us is that we are choppers, which we can be. But over the course of the round, we started to kind of work it out a little bit. We worked out that having a course map was very valuable because we got to the 5th. Honestly, we have played golf together quite a lot. And those 3 tee shots we hit on the 5th, we just played that long par 5 down the hill. And then we went to play the 5th and we hit the 3 best drives I've ever seen us 3 hit. Straight down the middle, lovely draw, straight, lovely fade, perfect. Get down there, and we're like, where the bloody hell is the flag? We look at the map and we realise that we've played down the 7th fairway instead of playing down the 5th fairway, which means that our approach shots are now no longer 130 yards, they're 200 yards. And we've got to play over trees to a green we can't see. I think the takeaway is from it that I think if and when we get to go back and do another one, let's make sure we go and play the course first.
I mean, if it's possible, that definitely would help.
The second day was an easier course to follow. Just the first day was just like, there was a couple of holes where it was a little bit, you really didn't know. I mean, annoyed me again, the second tee shot.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
We all didn't know that kind of there was that on the left, and that, that's annoying as well. Like it was, a couple of like mistakes really early on, and it was
tricky. That was a downhill tee shot to a blind fairway, which we didn't know that there was a big waste area and there was a bunker to the right.
Baked out.
It was horrible. So I think knowing the course next time is gonna be very valuable. So let's make sure if we go back, we go and play it beforehand. There was beers. We got round to like 15, 16, and they came round with beers. Which
beers on the course is always a bonus.
By that point, I needed a beer. It had been a little bit of a struggle in the sun. But the weather was good.
Yeah, weather was good. Yeah, no,
We had a bit of wind.
Yeah,
Oh, it was windy.
yeah,
Definitely was windy. That definitely affected. I mean, across both days, we all in all, I think we say weather was pretty good. First day was really nice. It was pretty warm. Was pretty windy. Second day, similar kind of thing, and then we had some real bad spurts of rain.
Yeah.
Where we just got absolutely drenched at the end.
Yeah, it was bad.
But no, it was like I think one of the beautiful things about these kind of stuff as well is like, because obviously it was a Stableford event, so like if you mess up a hole, it's not like if Pete makes a double, and he's in his head. Well, maybe not this year because trust the process. But in his head, he's thinking, oh crap, I'm behind the 8 ball now.
Yeah.
But if you have to pick up on a hole, you can make a 3-4 pointer, and catch up again. So. Again, just the way this was done and the whole weekend and the whole setup from Springfield Golf with everything was really impressive. I thought it was run excellently. I had a great time and definitely want to go back and do it again for sure.
100% want to go back.
And Ollie and James were really, really lovely people as well. Like really, 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 really great.
It felt, I think going in, I thought it was going to be a very serious, golf competition. And it was much more of a, which, and we were trying to take it seriously. We were planning and, thinking about the shots and trying to play as good golf as possible. We weren't messing around. But it did feel much more like a community fun experience than I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
And now I think you're right. They did a great job of making it feel like that. Like we came off the 18th on the first round and they were like, oh, lads, here, like grab yourselves a beer and come and have a putting comp.
Yeah.
So we had that putting comp, which I think Jacob was leading for a very long time.
Yeah, I don't know how. What was it? 8
9
under, I think. Or 8 or 9 under.
Someone had 9 under.
And someone else had. Yeah.
Come on now.
Made a hole in one. Well, I guess if you make a hole in one on a couple of them, but
It was like a par 3 putting comp, and Jacob. I said beforehand, well, Jacob's going to win.
Yeah.
Well, I gave it a go.
No, what was also quite good is that, speaking to quite a few people, like a lot of them had done this before, as in like they'd been to, one the year before that. So it was like a repeat of, people coming back, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And
really,
presentation in the evening of the first day, we had leader in the clubhouse. If you went up to get a prize for the first day, you had to neck a pint. So that was nuts. There was a joint lead on the first day, and whoever necked their pint the quickest got to wear the yellow jacket, which was very cool. And then the best dressed, who also happened to be the photographer for the day, he also did a shoey out of his croc.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to do a shoey, don't pick a shoe with loads of holes in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did see. Yeah. He didn't. Not much went in his mouth. It just went all over the floor,
mostly on the ground. But yeah, the food was good. The beers were good. Like you said, we met lots of great people, which you'll see in the vlog as well. It was very cool. It was a very cool vibe. How were your rooms? You shared, didn't you?
Yeah.
They were lovely.
Yeah,
really,
lovely.
really nice.
It looked like they were new sort of rooms.
Yeah.
So no, it was really good.
Again, like the whole beauty of the whole setup with this, you literally played the course and stayed on the course. You had an evening meal together on the course. There was the putting comp on the course. Everything was tight knit together. You started to talk to people and get to know people a bit better and have some beers after. I think we were all kind of in that like really horrible middle ground of, we're kind of all still in this a little bit. So we can't get absolutely rat-arsed, but we're going to have a few beers and enjoy ourselves and have somewhat an early night.
I mean, the leader bloody was having a right night out.
Yeah, he was.
And then he still won. So, it was, that's the way to do it, I think. That was the way to do it.
Next time, more beers. Yeah. In fact, when we were signing in, get ready to go and, collect our stuff and put our names down on the sheet, when we got there was a bar next to the signing table, and Jacob almost tempted me to have a pre-round beer, and then we checked the time. It was 9:15.
That sounds good to me.
We decided that maybe it wasn't a great idea.
Just to settle the nerves, that was all.
Represent ourselves as best we can without being hammered.
Yeah.
Day 2. On day 2, we played with Huxley Howell, who not only is he one of the tallest, most handsome, well-spoken men I've ever met in my entire life, but that man hits the ball.
Yeah, he strikes it. Peers it.
The fact that he was playing in a Stableford comp off a +2 or 3 +4 handicap, and then lost shots on it, so he was playing off like +6. You're thinking, well, he's got to be pretty good, but you never know. He ripped it. It's one of those where people say it's like playing with someone who's good at golf, and you just see how they strike it, the sound of it, but also just the way they go about it. It's so interesting, and it's like definitely, I felt like I learned quite a bit. I learned that I can't strike a ball like that.
I learned that man likes that too. But
no, it was a really good day, and like I say, we were on the Codrington, which was the slightly longer, what they kind of had as their championship course, I suppose. I think they've got, is it like DP World qualifying or something?
Yeah, DP World Tour qualifying. Yeah.
That's coming up on there. So high caliber course, and like you said, like I think the second day it was a lot easier to follow because every hole was sort of its own piece of land. It wasn't crossing over things and stuff like that. A lot more water, like I say, a lot longer than the second day, but without the weather, I feel like you could have had a good day around there. Like it didn't feel a slog to me. Only when it got wet did it feel a bit of a slog. I don't know. Maybe that was sort of my take from it. I don't know if you felt a bit differently.
It was slow play, I think. It was quite a long day. I think that we were waiting quite a bit on most tees. But yeah. So.
I think for me, I finished slightly outside of the top 5, and the top 5 were people who would qualify for the final. So I don't know if you guys felt this, but I actually felt like a little bit of pressure on the second day to play as well as I had played on the first day because I was close to the thing. And I really, we went out there to have a good time and to experience it. But after I accidentally played really well on the first day and scored well, I then said to myself, you need to do that again tomorrow. Otherwise people will think it's a fluke. Yeah. So I felt like the second day was much more pressure, and I didn't necessarily enjoy the kind of first third of it.
Because it didn't go quite how you thought it would. And
I was like, I must be playing well. And it didn't pan out that way on the first few holes. Lost the ball on the first, lost the ball on the third. It just didn't feel like I wanted it to feel from the day before. But I think you're right. Then it kind of relaxed me a little bit because I was like, cool, don't have to worry about it now. I'm not going to do particularly well. And then, some good golf did arrive. And then as the good golf was arriving, I felt like for all of us, the weather came in.
Yeah.
And we started to get very, very wet.
Yeah, it definitely came down sort of 14, 15, 16 was like really quite torrential. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, and I think we all knew that we weren't really going to win it. Yeah. So there was that sort of level of, okay. But it kind of, I think we all, even with Huxley as well, like I think as the round went on and progressed, it just fell back into just having a laugh. That was kind of the main point of the whole weekend anyway. Like I enjoyed getting to play with you guys over the 2 days, meeting Huxley and meeting all the other people, like say Ollie and James, the organisers of Springfield, did an amazing job setting it all up. And they did say that if they want to have us back, we can go back.
I'd love to go back. Love to go back. Kieran won't use waterproofs.
No, I don't use it. No.
Myth.
Yeah.
So waterproofs are a myth.
Skin's waterproof, isn't it?
But when we got onto I think it was the 15th, the one where it was long, the double,
the 3-shot par 5, basically.
Yeah. And it was hammering it down.
Yeah.
We all played incredible.
We all played it in very different ways.
Yeah. But you were. Yeah, it was a very.
I hit 4 hybrid 3 times and 2 putted for a par.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, it was great. I in hindsight, I wish I had tried to enjoy it more and worried less about playing well. And I think then, of course, I would have enjoyed it more. But I think the pressure would have felt much less.
Yeah.
So yes, if they do invite us back, and we would love to come back, let's think much less about the score.
Definitely. Yeah,
it's more about that's what Pete's been saying.
I know.
It's not target orientated. You just gotta trust the process.
We fell into the trap that Pete has been in for the last.
We were all focusing. Well, I'll say I definitely was looking at score, just worrying about. Oh no, I didn't get that many points on this hole and that. And it's not the way to go about it. But I think the more so than anything, like you say, Mick, you feel that maybe in those first sort of 8-9 holes on the first day, you didn't represent what you wanted to show. But as a whole on the leaderboard, I think we all did pretty well.
Where did we finish up in the end? Can you remember?
I think it was like T20 something, 23, 24.
I think we were 17.
Kieran was like T28 or
You got
something.
screwed by your lack of shots, I think.
Yeah, I think that was probably the only thing I'd say about the whole weekend was just that, like, the 85%. I mean, golf's. I've never been a believer in this 85% thing. Like, golf's so hard, and you don't always play your best every single day, and every single time. You might be a 10 handicap, but like, you're not always going to be a 10 handicap. One day you might be an 18 handicap, the other day you might be an 8. Like, it's hard, and I think that I only got 2 shots there both days, so it was tough.
It was tough for you. Yeah.
But,
you had to like play to your full. You had to play to your handicap to even be in with a chance of. Because you weren't getting any help from the system.
So it's like it's just one of those where it's like that was probably the only thing I felt like I was already fighting, because I knew I wasn't going to score a 2 or 2 handicap, so I was already fighting that. So that's the only difficult thing. But
I think I had the most help. You had the least help, and Jacob screwed himself over because we played Ringway the week before, and Jacob shot his best round of his life and put his card in, so it like docked his handicap like mad.
Yeah, I think I was a 12.4 going into it, and then shot a 78, first time ever breaking 80, and then went down to a 10.
Yeah.
So I
and then you're 85%,
and then my 85% on top of that. So I was playing off 6 on the first, and like Kieran said, like your handicap, you probably play to once or twice every 10 rounds of golf. Like, it's not like a common thing. So then,
and very rarely all at the same time
exactly,
as well.
Yeah,
I mean, over 2 days.
It's very rare to kind of drop down. But then I suppose they got to. It's kind of fighting off the fact that if there are people that are sandbagging a little bit and coming in with 20 handicaps that are actually a 15, it puts them back down to that kind of. But obviously, it does inhibit the ones that, like the Kierans who.
Well, like Huxley as well. Like, I mean,
and Huxley,
he
was playing off what, +6 or something stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he had to birdie. I think he played a +4, but like he had to birdie 4 of the holes to get 2 points.
Yeah,
like it's just like that's just.
And
crazy.
I think they were all par 3s as well.
They were.
I think he had to make 2s on par 3s in order to get a par.
Yeah,
which is baffling. And listen, he is very, very good at golf, but that is a real problem.
Yeah. No, it was that's just that would be my only thing about it. But I that's not just this competition. I think that is that is worldwide. Like 85%, I just think is shouldn't be a thing. Your handicap is. I can agree with the playing handicap of a course. Like, if it's a really hard course, you might get a couple of extra shots, but or vice versa, it can be lower. But your handicap is your handicap. Golf's one of the hardest games in the world. Like, you should be at your handicap and be given the amount of shots you should be given.
Okay, so this is the question: if we were to host a golf tournament of a similar ilk, what things would you implement or change or steal from the Springfield golf lot from that tournament? What things would you implement on the rough cut version of that event? So you'd go straight handicap.
Yeah, I think
no percentages.
Literally, and that takes nothing away from the event. The event was amazing. It was brilliant. That's the only thing that I would do.
More alcohol on the course.
More alcohol on the course. Yeah. So I think the second day we actually didn't see the boys with the buggy.
No, we didn't. No.
We didn't. I think that obviously they were very busy. They were making sure everything was running smoothly, which in general it did. More beer. Definitely. How did you feel about teeing off to music the second day as well?
I was fine with it.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
I like that song as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. They must have just gone on my Instagram and found I used to make music, and they found one of my songs, and so I teed off to my own singing voice.
Yeah. So James spoke to me and said, "I don't know how," because I think were you first off? I think you were first off.
Yeah, you teed off first.
Yeah.
And he was like, James came to me and said, "Oh, I don't know how to introduce Mick," and I said, "Oh, just call him formally Spring Break Golf." Spring Break. And then he sort of chatted and he said, "Oh, has he got music?" And then we went on Spotify and saw and found your music.
Yeah. So thanks for that.
That's the whole. I didn't know he was going to do it. But,
one of the weirdest experiences of my life.
But
I think music was good.
Yeah.
I think beers was a good idea. I think the handicap thing is great.
Yeah.
I think next time we'll go in with a perspective of much more just to go and enjoy ourselves, which we definitely did. But you played golf growing up.
I'm about to say, is this your guys' like first like proper tournament?
It's the first time I've ever played it was the first time I've ever played in a
tournament,
18 holes or more golf tournament where I had to keep score.
I mean, I've never done the 36-hole day tournament, so I've never done back-to-back days of. I've played in comps, but this just felt like just a kick above it. It wasn't quite. When I was tiny little junior, I played in some stuff, but not. I'm talking 7, 8 years old. I can't really remember.
Yeah.
So nothing of this severity. No. So this was really kind of my first.
Yeah. And you played golf growing up.
Yeah. No,
I have never.
It's two day events and stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Like sometimes it'd be like 2 days in one day. So it was like
36 whole days.
Yeah, it was like you tee off in the morning and play in the afternoon.
Oh.
But not done many a couple of club champs were, but
Trolley?
Yeah.
What, as in we should have had one?
Mm-hmm. Were you tired?
I felt all right. I mean, I drove us back after, so my legs must have been all right. No, I felt all right. The one thing we've obviously not even mentioned really either is that they had, on both days, they had hole-in-ones.
Oh, they did.
And we almost won.
Yeah, we did.
Well,
we would have had, honestly, it was the end of the first day, and I don't think we would have made it to the second day if that had gone in.
Oh, it would have changed the weekend for sure.
For definite. We would have been in Bristol.
What was it, like 10 grand?
10 grand for the hole-in-one.
If you got a hole-in-one.
Yeah.
And you got really close. I got decently close.
Yeah. So you had to. So we've got the footage, which is good. And it will make it into the vlog. You pulled yours slightly.
Yeah, I just put
Yeah. You hit a really good one. Like came off the back.
7-iron just with the wind.
Yeah. It just suited me perfectly with the wind, so I just hit into the wind and let the wind do its job, and it ended up kind of maybe this far, 2-putted.
Yeah. Didn't make the putt.
Yes,
but we had to pay like a $5 to like enter it. But there was a guy that we spoke to that didn't enter it and got like that close, as in like the ball landed. The ball stopped like there from the hole. So that would have been a very interesting, like...
Yeah, imagine not opting in and then getting the 10 grand hole-in-one.
Yeah.
They did say that on the tee, didn't they? Like, we had someone the other day. But it's like, did you?
Yeah.
Are you
really?
Are you telling us that? Yeah, that guy was, like, say, he's actually played a blinder. Because he's hit it to as close as he possibly could without winning the money and didn't lose a fiver.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
If you think about it, his net positive.
He actually nailed it.
Didn't waste my money.
Yeah.
Didn't win the money and not be
had
allowed
a tap-in birdie.
And I had a tap-in birdie.
Yeah.
God, actually, that's actually the way to do it. Don't want to make one.
Yeah. Just leave it an inch off the hole.
Yeah, I'll aim for that next time.
Who cares about the 10K?
Yeah. God, the 10K would have been lovely though, huh?
Yeah.
What was your favourite bit? What was the thing you liked the most about the experience?
I liked the middle bit between the rounds.
Yeah, middle of it.
Oh, right, okay. So
I love
eating and drinking.
The eating and the drinking, and the fact that you could be stood watching... Sorry. You could be stood watching golf on the TV, or the football was on, it was playoff.
It was the last day of the season,
Last day?
Was it?
Yes. So there was lots of actual, real professional sport happening. Everyone was around having a beer. Everyone was laughing. You got chatting to people who had, lots of people came up to us and said, "You're a lot braver than me for hitting that first tee shot in front of all those people." And it was great to meet people, to experience and to do the silly kind of like putting comp stuff, and then everyone meets for dinner, and it was such a good vibe between the two rounds that I enjoyed that more than the actual golf, because in reality you can get golf anywhere. You can't really get that bit anywhere else. They have done such a good job of making it feel like a community of people who are there to have a great time. And yes, there's prizes on the line or whatever, but it doesn't really matter because the bit that you pay for and the bit that you turn up for and the bit that you stay for is that everyone else is there to have a good time as well.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
I completely agree with that.
I think in terms of like a favourite bit, I don't necessarily if it was like an individual thing, but it was just the fact that we were playing in a 2-day comp. I know that's such a generalized way of sort of explaining it, but I just love the fact that we were just put in this scenario where, as amateur golfers, we had the opportunity to play back-to-back days, go to like not obviously this was all hypothetical thoughts, but like going to bed on a lead, and like
Yeah, just the possibility
like,
of it
all that-
was
just
cool,
all
yeah.
those the things that could have happened was like my favorite aspect. Like, I just love that like all these opportunities were available to be done by these events because like you can't do this anywhere else for us.
Yeah.
And even though none of those things happened,
It did not.
we still represent ourselves really well. And I think another favourite bit, to not to be too cliche, but like there's quite a few people that came up and said how much they enjoyed the podcast and the work we've done with the main channel and all those kind of things, which is always like a very surreal thing that this is not just us sat and chatting crap around the table. And
we are sat in this tiny little ex-office studio with the putting green and the camera and stuff here, but there's also like thousands of people out there who end up watching it. So.
Yeah, there's guys on the course, a couple of people that weren't in it that came and said hi, people that were playing. I had quite a lot of conversations with people who knew of Pete and knew who kind of what we did, but sort of were just really interested about like what we do and like speaking to them. And so yeah, it was a really, really, really fun experience and one I definitely want to do again for sure.
Kieran, your favourite bit?
Yeah, no, I probably everything you guys have said there. I think probably you can add that my mum and dad came and walked around and everything like that.
Oh my God, we forgot about that.
And
thank you so much for the footage also, Tess. You did a great job.
Yeah, so like that was quite cool, and they haven't come and walked around with me for a while, so it was nice for that. Wish I could have played a bit better, but yeah, no, other than that, you guys have said it perfectly. Like, yeah, just the whole vibe of the place was brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Now, we've got to work out how this is going to get through. Are we going to end it here, or do we throw back to America and let you, from 4 days from now, end it? Or do we say bye to people?
I think we could say bye.
We can say bye.
We can also say congratulations to Harris English for winning.
Damn it. Oh, God.
I hope so.
Oh, God. So, yeah, so...
I will be unbearable.
Yeah, oh my, if you've got it right. And the short went out, the podcast went out, everyone started to put money on it. You see all the comments on the short. So if Harris English has won...
Well done.
Thank
you.
Yeah,
but also well done, Scottish Shuffler.
For actually winning it
well.
because, he won it.
Yeah, well done.
Maybe Brooks.
No.
Right, that's the end of this week's podcast. The next podcast you hear on Tuesday will be us reviewing Pete's Open qualifying round.
Oh, wow. Yes, it will. Oh, man. And that's like, we're going to do it again, aren't we? Where it's like straight after the round.
Straight after the round.
So we could see a different Pete to last year, hopefully. I don't know. He was pretty inconsolable last year, so... Yeah,
so I edited the mental game episode of Quest for the Open for this year, and I went back and watched the entire podcast. It is heartbreaking. It's so hard to watch your friend relive this round where he just did not put it together when we knew he could. And I think last year, the hope I have is that last year we went into the round thinking he's going to do this. Like, he's got this. The golf he's been playing has been so good, there's no way he doesn't get in. And this year he's playing twice as good.
Yeah.
He's twice as consistent. His mind is much better this time around. And I haven't even thought to myself about the possibility of him not doing it.
Oh, I'm not even allowing myself to get to that point. I'm just like, what will be. Is he putting himself in the best possible situation to try and do it? Yes. Is he playing some of the best golf he's probably played since I've known him for 5 years? Yes. So he's in a great place. But if it doesn't happen, things just have to go right on the day. It can be small things. So I want to be positive. I want to be optimistic. But literally, again, in Pete's words, just trust the process. Trust the process.
He's definitely playing some good golf as of recording this. He's currently made the cut of the PGA Champs, which is like the biggest event for him that's not open qualifying. So that's got to be something. He's in a very good mental space. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, we shall see.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Next Monday at Coldie, 12:30, I think, around then he's teeing off.
So if
you're
around and you want to come to the Southport Coast, is that where it is?
No, it's on the Wirral.
It's on the Wirral. It is on the Wirral. Yeah, I remember.
It's near Hoylake, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, just down the road. Very good accent. I didn't know Paddy the Baddie was was here. So we will see you there. If you want to come and watch Pete qualify for final qualifying, we'll see you at Coldy. If not, we will see you on next week's podcast where Pete will be celebrating his 67.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Right, we're going... Where are you going? You're going to America?
Yeah, in a few days. Let's watch some US Open golf first. And
Oh,
then
God, yeah, the US Open. In fact, it kicks off in like 8 minutes.
the thing we just spoke about at the beginning.
Such a mind melt.
Anyway, right. See you later.
Bye,
See you in a
everyone.
bit.